Welcome to Fluxedo Junction. I'm Scott Kuchler. Each episode we bring you the best music of all genres from throughout the world, and this week we'll be speaking with an old friend of the show, drummer, singer, songwriter, and author Steve Cafarelli. We've had Steve on the show several times before to discuss his various projects, from his work with the band Already Taken, to the book he co-authored with Rick Forgo titled Eagles Up Ahead in the Distance, the meteoric rise of one of America's most important rock bands. But today we'll be speaking with him about his new album. It's titled Meaning and Reason, and it's available through all major streaming services or through Steve's website at stevecafmusic.com. So let's get things started with the lead track from the album. This is Circle, here on Fluxedo Junction.
Close my eyes, go back in time to a place that I knew, but we were without a clue, and the time seemed far removed. Under a star with an acoustic guitar, feeling young and strong. From the heart we sang our song, and in hindsight it didn't last long. And I'm wondering now if the circle's coming round again. Will I be left holding empty reins when I meet up with my long lost friend? Don't they say that what comes around goes around once again? We make a brand new start of it. It's funny how it left off. Funny all this shit that went down, spun round, left us on the ground, feeling aged and cynical, jaded, typical. We find ourselves together again. Baggage in the mirror, sitting on the fence of a love-hate, a love song, can't leave it alone. I'm older and fearful, gradually tearful, and I'm wondering now if the circle's coming around again. Will I be left holding empty reins when I meet up with my long-lost friend? Don't they say that what comes around goes around once again? We reassess just where we stand, taking inventory for a brand new plan with meaning and reason. We open up the season, optimistic and wary, eager and leery. Again we take our pointless points of view, try to make it work and try to see it through. We're caught up with caution, headed for exhaustion. I'm older but wiser, wearing a disguise, and I'm wondering now if the circle's coming round again. Will I be left holding empty reins when I meet up with my long lost friend? Don't they say that what comes around goes around once again? And I'm wondering now if the circle's coming round again.
All right, well, thanks for doing this yet again. We're 1 year out from your last release, right? Has it been a year?
It's been a year. It would have been closer to actually being almost a year, right to the dime, right to the letter. But it took a while to get it mixed and mastered. Right, committed to Toronto. My engineer was very busy, so things got pushed back a little bit. But all things considered, to have one release in 2023 and another in 2024, I'll take it.
Now, Frank is listed not just in his studio capacity, but also as a guitar player on a couple of tracks as well. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. He's also a really good guitar player. He knows what needs to be done for songs to get the right guitar sounds and things like that, which is, an area that's a weakness for me, for sure, not being a native guitar player. I don't know a lot about tone and things like that. He does, and he offered his services when I would say, hey, maybe we could play something like this. Can you lay down a solo here? Can you do this for me? And he was able to come through, and he did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, everything sounds great. The album sounds fantastic, and I'd like to go song by song on it. But before we do that, I just want to mention the other musicians on the album, of course, are Joe Mugnai and Kevin Burke from Already Taken, of course. And you guys, I know I've used this analogy before, but I like referring to you guys as a sort of modern-day rock pile, because you really just keep backing each other up on each other's projects, although you've gone one step further than Rockpile, haven't you? Did Rockpile ever actually release a Rockpile album? I'm not even sure.
I don't know that they did, but I know that like Nick Lowe would have something, and
Yeah.
Dave Edmunds and whatever, and it's like, well, this was really a Rockpile thing, but this one was a Nick Lowe thing, and this was
Right.
a Dave Edmunds thing. I think it's an apt comparison. We started record because I played with those guys in a band called Already Taken. It's a piano trio, piano,
Right.
bass, drums, no guitar. It's a little something different, but we make it work. And we did an album in 2022, I believe it was released, called No Cover Charge, and that was designed to sound exactly like the band. So there were no, other instruments brought into the mix. It's like, hey, we don't have a guitar when we play live, so we're going to just do what we sound like live. Then Joe, who also goes by the name of Daddy-O, he decided he wanted to go in and he recorded some new songs and whatnot that he got me to play drums on and sing background vocals on a handful of things. He's put them all out in a record called Into the Blue, but he's also been kind of doing more the digital thing where he releases every, couple months or every month on Spotify or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so back to my records, two of the songs are ones that we play in that band, so it was no-brainers to have those guys play on it. And then, Kevin was gracious enough to offer to play bass on all of it, which only could have benefited me, because I could have, played kind of a root note kind of thing and gotten through doing the bass parts myself, but he learned the tunes and could do far better than I could. So I was very grateful to have him do that. Yeah.
Well, let's go track by track on this. So the kickoff track on the album is a song called Circle. You're the singer. You're the singer on all the tracks. So I'm just gonna save us time on that one. And you're probably the drummer on every track too, I'm guessing. But you also play acoustic guitar and percussion. We have Joe on organ, Kevin on bass, and Frank on electric guitar. Now, this song I remember from, you were surprised that I remembered it from back in the day, but in the very early Monkey Grip days, this was a song that we would rehearse. I'm sure I have rehearsal recordings of it. I think we may have even done it live once, and I'm not counting the last Monkey Grip gig where we actually did really do it for real, having, the album having already been released. But tell us a little bit about Circle.
Yeah, so I was surprised because I didn't remember we did that, but it is the oldest song on this disc. All of these songs, with the exception of Circle and another one, Dance, that we'll talk about in a few minutes, that you also know, they're all relatively new, last couple of years, and I think the emphasis for any artist, for lack of a better word, is they do want to focus on what they're doing now. But that much said, I have a whole back catalog of stuff that I've never recorded, and so I like to pick a couple each time that are a little bit older, and Circle is one of those songs. It's an acoustic intro kind of thing, and then but then it comes in with the heavier guitar, a little bit of a statement of intent that this album's going to be maybe a little bit different than the last record. Not that I didn't love everything we did on the last record as well, but I thought it kind of fit as a good opener. And then the record's title, which is Meaning and Reason, was taken from a line in that song. And consequently, that's also why on the album artwork there's kind of like a circle, graphic on the front. It's kind of pulling in that that whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it came out great. I love this version of the song. I mean, it's the best version of the song, being the most complete. It's followed up by Never Enough, with you, again, lead and harmony vocals, drums, acoustic guitar, and percussion. And then Frank on acoustic and electric guitar, and Kevin on bass. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Correct. So that's another one. That one was written like within the year, since the last record was released. And this one, it's a hopefully pretty little ballad, and it kind of, I'm hoping that it has sort of like an autumnal, personal kind of feeling to it. All the tracks that I laid down, we kind of did first, and then I had said to Frank, like, look, this acoustic guitar, we need someone else playing acoustic guitar besides me just playing the strummy part. And we sat down and worked up that sort of arrangement that he helped me come up with for like the finger picking parts of that. And, once again, really, really thrilled with the way it came out. It took what I think was a good song, and the recording makes it that much better.
Yeah, well, I admire the fact that you continue, because I love your guitar playing, and I like that you continue to put your own guitar tracks down, even though you had Frank there to kind of do it for you if you needed him. And I'm sure, he's a masterful player, so he's adding something special. But I'm glad you didn't shy away from playing guitar altogether. Yeah, that's a great track. Then the next track, of course, is Dance. This one is another one that I remember from early Monkey Grip days. And we've got you again, lead and harmony vocals, drums, acoustic guitar, percussion, Frank on electric guitar, and Kevin on bass. Before you start going specifically into this song, already we're now 3 songs deep into this album, and out of those 3 songs, really only one of them features keyboards. And I wonder if that's strange for you, because Already Taken is so keyboard heavy, Joe being such a fantastic player. Is it a refreshing kind of a change? Not that you're looking to get away from Joe's keyboard sound, but is it nice to mix it up a little bit?
Well, it is, and in some ways, by design too. And again, no disrespect to Joe, he does a phenomenal job, and I'm completely grateful and thankful that he contributes where he does. But like when we record Joe's records and stuff, I think his kind of blueprint is that kind of Elton John trio thing, because he is a piano player first and foremost. The piano takes center stage. With me, I love a good piano, but I don't necessarily need to feature it on every track as heavily as maybe he might be inclined to do. So I would say, to a certain extent, with the last album, and then even more with this one, it was like, let's scratch some of the other itches I have. One thing I think is true about the record is that there's a lot of different variety, from some of the rockier stuff to the country-ish stuff,
Definitely,
to the pop singer-songwriter stuff. And at the end of the day, it's going to sound like me, because I can't help but be myself, and it's not like this one's going to be speed metal and this one's going to be, rockabilly. But at the same time, we all love lots of different kinds of music, and especially because it's independent, I don't have to worry about appealing to a formula. So I can do whatever I want, if I wanted to make a punk rock song and, a rap song, I don't want to, but I could, because there's nothing to stop me, and I think, that's really cool.
Cool. So yeah, Dance specifically, is this another case of it was a song you always liked, you had it in the archives, and you wanted to just give it a chance to have a life?
Yeah, and I know we had played it back then, and then it kind of fell off as Monkey Grip became less of an active thing and more of a sometime thing, and I thought it would be a good thing to do. Now, on a tune like this, there was a very definitive guitar sort of boogie part, rhythmically, that I brought in. And I remember when I showed Kevin the demo, he said, well, I think it sounds like you're playing the guitar wrong, because I think he was expecting more like a straight dunga, 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 dunga.
Right.
I said, no, you can't tell from my shitty fidelity, but there's actually part that's there. And then, so I put it in, once again, Frank's capable hands, and of course he nailed it. And, that tune, influentially, it's kind of like, plays in my early Kiss influence, but it's really Kiss when they used to try to, imitate the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm imitating the Rolling Stones or I'm imitating Kiss, but it's all in there, that kind of bluesy thing. I remember saying to him, I want that sort of brown sugar kind of guitar tone.
Yeah.
So hopefully folks, can hear that.
Yeah, I definitely could, yeah.
Taking the chance, I bet you never thought you'd wanna see the people get up.
right, next, Joe is back on piano for the next one, On the Edge. You're singing lead and harmonies, drums, acoustic guitar and percussion, Joe on piano, Kevin on bass, Frank on electric guitar. This one I don't remember ever having heard before. Is this a newer song?
Yep, another new one. This was another one that was written since the last record was released. You know, kind of like, I say if any of them kind of jump out to me as kind of like a single sort of sound, you know, this definitely has those kind of pop sensibilities. You know, catchy, hopefully. And, you know, I credit where credit's due once again with Frank. He came up with a little
right.
hook at the end of the verses where, you know, when we were sitting down kind of woodshedding that on recording day, you know, he came up with that. Another thing, too, I hadn't featured Joe yet doing a piano solo on this, you know, whereas, like, say, on the Already Taken album, he's the only melodic instrument. He was doing all the solos. So I said maybe this is a good one for him. So we went through and played it, and as he's playing it, you know, I heard him go, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And I said, that thing you just did at the beginning, play that up. Let's make that a sort of like a motif, so it's not just sort of like random ad-libbing. Let's have that be a motif and do more of that. And then he did that, and then when we laid down the guitar part, the lead guitar part, we said, Frank, listen to what Joe's doing here. Wiggle in around that, you know, and play that. So, you know, you know, so I'm grateful for those two for those sort of contributions. Again, making a song that I thought was good, and now it's even better, you know, from having talented musicians. Right?
Yeah, well, I can say, I mean, of course, all the musicians that you're working with on this album are great, but the only one that I have direct experience playing with is Joe. Actually, at the time this airs, we're probably going to be on stage with him over at Bartini's in Babylon. But he's an excellent, I mean, aside from being an excellent musician in his own right, he's an excellent team player, you know? Like, he's very, very easy to work with.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those guys who, you know, he's kind of got a leader's personality. He's used to kind of being the guy in charge. That's not to say that he takes things over, but he's good at running things. Like, you've seen it where it's like, what songs did we play that night? Well, you know, he's got a spreadsheet. He's got...
He sent a text message today with a set list I couldn't remember. Yeah, that's funny.
If you record, like, his records, he could tell you, too. Yeah, on December 12th, you came in and you, from 6:52 to, you know, 8 o'clock, you recorded the drums for this, you know.
Nice.
I don't keep track of all that, but he does, and it's, you know, and it often is a great benefit because it means we can be less organized if someone else is more organized.
Well, the next track then is The End Game, and this is just you and Kevin on this. Kevin playing dobro and bass, you playing banjo, in addition to your regular instruments. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Okay, so this is sort of like a country-ish kind of thing. This is kind of my polka, bluegrassy kind of influence. That's stuff I love. I had a song like this on the first record too, and you know, I always want to kind of give a nod to that when I release something because it is something I like so much, and I love banjo as well. I don't purport to be a good banjo player or a banjo player at all, but in this instance, I was the guy, mostly as a result of people who were available and willing and ready. That was going to be me. So, you know, Frank, who did the engineering, was very patient, and you know, because really, it's not the left-hand stuff; it's the right-hand stuff that's really important to get clean, and that's not a strength for me, not being a natural picker and guitar player. So, you know, I can't tell you that we did it all in one take. You know, it was a lot of punches and whatever. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And, you know, one of the great things about working, you know, with an engineer and with a pro in that respect is whether it's the banjo or a guitar part or a drum part or a vocal or a harmony, you know, a good one will let you know when he or she's got what they need to get it done.
Yeah.
So, it's, and they've got tremendous ears to be able to hear and say, all right, that was the one, okay, I think I got what we need on this, or, that was good, but it's not all the way there. Let's do it again. So, that's how that one came about. And then, of course, Kevin also is he's really good with anything that involves strings. He identifies mostly as a bass player these days, but his history is playing guitar. He had a great record that he released himself probably about 10, 12 years ago, by a project called Barrel House that was all heavy-duty finger-picking stuff. He won't even play it anymore because he says, I'm not good enough to play it as I was then. But, he's got that great dobro, and giving him the chance to come out and use it only benefits me, and I'm thrilled that he did.
Absolutely.
Lost on my way, I got the music in my veins. I've got so many things to say, I've gotta make her come around my way. I'm lost like a child, like a teen out running wild. I like to wow her with my style. I've got to get this reconciled, 'cause that's great, I'm foolish just the same. What's the end game? Nothing's gonna change. What can I say? I don't like feeling second rate. With her I like to acclimate. Don't wanna watch it all just dissipate. I'll go the extra mile, I'm gonna saddle up in style. I wanna win her with my smile. I'm grinning like a crocodile. And that's great, foolish just the same. What's the end game? Nothing's gonna change. It's all insane, that is what they say when you repeat yourself and think that things won't be the same. You're telling lies, so don't you be surprised when you learn your way of thinking. So learn your way of thinking. You advise. I've gotta drink the tonic straight. I've got so much that I should contemplate, but still I'm alive. I daydream and I conspire, a romantic falsifier. So let us see just what transpires. 'Cause that's great, I'm foolish just the same. What's the end game? Nothing's gonna change.
The next track is Sabbatical, and on this one, you allowed Joe and Kevin to actually sing.
Absolutely. So we do that one in Already Taken, so we pretty much follow the arrangement that we do with that. And as such, they have their parts that they're accustomed to singing, and they know how it goes and what they like to do, and I love the way they do it. I should mention that with all these things, although I love singing harmonies on my own tunes, it's never because I wouldn't allow those other people. It really comes down to an issue of practicality. So
Right.
because these aren't mostly songs that we do with those guys, they don't really know how they go.
Right,
They learn
right.
from the session, and stuff, and then to say, okay, now I need you to learn a whole bunch of harmony parts, and to show up at the studio and waste a whole night there when you could be home with your family, and for no money because you're doing it on the Steve Friends and Family plan. It just makes it more practical for me often to sing the harmonies myself, but it's not a statement on that I don't like them to sing, for sure.
Pretty Goodbye brings us Joe back on the piano, Kevin on bass, Frank on electric guitar, and another new one, or was this from the archives?
Yeah.
I can't remember hearing this one
No,
either.
another new one, in the last probably year and a half or so, and that's the other one that we do with the band.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it made sense to have them play, but then we also added in, on both this one and the other one, we did, I brought guitar into that as well, and, Pretty Goodbyes was an interesting one because we've done it with the band, and we do it with the band, but not where sabbatical we've been doing for a couple of years. This one's still the paint is kind of wet on it, so I like to think that in some ways, some of the things I did on the record are going to become sort of the canon of, well, this is how it goes,
Sure.
We do more with that.
Your songs are always kind of evolving anyway, though, in that regard, because you do, I know that Already Taken is sort of your main project, but you have at least 5 other things that you're involved with, I think, and I know that occasionally songs cross over. Even just very small handful of songs that have crossed over from, Monkey Grip to playing with the 51s that I've heard you do on your own. You've always been open to letting the musicians that you work with kind of add to the arrangement, but I suspect in this case, because it's an album with just your name on it, that maybe you had a little bit of a different approach there, and that maybe, I could see where you would want this to be the more definitive canon version that people refer to for a given song.
Right, so and the arrangements they always come into the studio fully as I intend them and whatever. And for the most part, the bands they do follow the arrangements, but where they do sort of vary is maybe just an approach to something. Like, for instance, we do Angelina Delane and the 51s, which is first and foremost the 51s. The song earmarked for the 51s. That's the one I played it with, and then we ended up playing it with Already Taken later.
Yeah.
And, Joe had some different ideas of what he would like to do for the background vocals. So, who am I to say, no, that's not how it goes? Well, that's how the Already Taken version of this goes, because you're part of this band. And I value if I didn't value what you brought,
you wouldn't be there. Right.
And, so I think it's important, too, because this is true even whether you're, you could be the Beatles, you could be McCartney, whatever. You take this new band out, you do things a little different. And there's no reason to say, Eleanor Rigby always has to go exactly like this. Maybe on the last tour it was something different, and it doesn't take away from the song, and, potato. Maybe one person likes it better this way, maybe another person likes it better the other way. It's a win-win. Or maybe you like it both ways.
I'm one of those people who likes it both ways, because I've heard, not just with your music, but even with, I remember when Eric Clapton did that tour with Roger Waters back in the 80s, and there's some pretty good bootlegs of that tour, and you can hear Eric Clapton doing his interpretation of guitar parts on very well-known Pink Floyd songs that, David Gilmour's guitar parts would have previously been thought to be key and critical parts of that arrangement, and hearing Clapton do it his way was always interesting to me, or even hearing now, Sammy Hagar is on the road with that Van Halen tribute thing that he's doing. He's got Joe Satriani on guitar playing all those Eddie Van Halen parts, and I love that. I love hearing different people's interpretation of of those. Sometimes I'm surprised at how faithful they are, and other times I'm surprised and delighted at how different it is. And in your case, I've always found it interesting to hear how other people do songs that I'm used to hearing, with a different configuration. It's nice.
Well, you mentioned Clapton. I mean, even like with his own songs, or any artist with their own songs, you take something like, the Derek and the Dominoes Layla, right? And then,
right.
It's a real one thing, and then in the 90s,
he redid it, yeah.
Which was like a swingy shuffle.
And it was a huge hit for him again, yeah.
Completely different song by the same artist,
yeah.
Even though it's really the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's great. All right, then we got A Perfect Life. You're on all your usuals, except now you're listed for piano on this one. And then we've got Joe just contributing harmony vocals, along with Kevin on bass and Frank on electric guitar, but also playing the bass solo. So let's hear the story behind that one.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot to talk about there. So with Perfect Life, Joe ended up doing some background vocals just from, opportunity. He was there doing something else the same night that I was doing background vocals. So we're like, hey, I'm singing some oohs, some ahs here. Let's get your voice in the mix. Get in the booth, kind of like show up, we'll put you to work kind of thing. So, and I'm thrilled to have had him do that. And it's funny, he was there the night we did the piano thing too. And he, it's not a big piano part. It's just sort of like a rockabilly kind of ching, 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 like a, a right hand only kind of thing.
Like a Jerry Lee Lewis kind of a thing.
One who was very encouraging. He's like, you do it. In fact, I'll show you a good inversion to use to, hit this chord easily or whatever. And so I got to get my name on the credit for, it coming out of the solo where you hear that piano part. And then the bass, did I credit him as the bass solo, Frank, on this?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
One little part where, the whole bass part was done by Kevin, except for one measure, essentially. But it's a solo measure. Again, just a matter, not that Kevin wasn't capable of it, that night we were recording bass, he really didn't have time to, we were doing some other things and we needed to wrap things up, whatever. I said, all right, we'll come back later to this. And so when we were getting closer to the end of the session, I said, there's one section here where everything cuts out and there's a bass part. And I actually sung it to him. I think Kevin just did like a boom thing. And I said, can you do a climb like ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da? And, I was game to try it myself, but why bother when you got someone who's, better sitting right there. So I said, can you maybe just punch this? Yeah, sure. And, once again, to make it seamless tonality-wise and everything. So that one measure was recorded, 5 months after the raw tracks were recorded. And, but he knew what he was doing and how to hook it up and make it sound seamless.
Well, the album ends with a track called Highlight Reel. This is just you singing, playing percussion, and Frank on guitars. It's a great end to the album. And did you first of all, is it a newer song, or had you had it lying around? And did you always have it in mind as being the closer?
Yeah, it was. It's not real new, not real old, kind of in the middle. Probably mid 2010s, something in that area. Very quiet, pretty song. I always wanted it to be the ending one on anything. It's intentionally only like, a minute and a half or something. I don't know how long it is, but it's not long. And my frame of reference was the Beatles and Her Majesty. I always loved the way Her Majesty was at the end of Abbey Road, and it sounded like, just kind of tack it on, then it just ends, So they make her mind, done.
Yeah.
So it was intentional to kind of maybe not cut it off just like that, but no solos, no long extended parts, just kind of a very personal little pretty, statement about me and my thoughts on, the social media world we live in, how everybody's always comparing themselves to things and everybody's putting out highlight reels essentially all the time, and it's silly to compare your life to that because any kind of presentation, even this interview, the way you present your public self is not necessarily reality. It's a highlight reel of the best that you have to offer, and the best that you want to share with people. That's kind of what that song's about being, inspiring others and finding inspiration in others and recognizing the beauty in all our human qualities and not to get too hung up on things that are, someone else's highlight reel, aka the publicist face that I put on, my website as opposed to who we really are.
1, 2, 3, 4. When I was a younger man, playing drums in a rock and roll band, trying to make my statement like the thinkers always do. I've done so much, I'm turning grey, I still have a whole lot more to say. I wish I could inspire like my heroes always do. When you compare your life to a highlight reel, it doesn't make much sense. One life to live, one love to give on your side of the fence. Stuck at home and you're crying now. Everybody gets that way somehow. Trying to make your mark while life's passing you by. Look around and dry those tears. One man's promises, another man's fears. I wish I could inspire like you inspire me. When you compare your life to a highlight reel, it doesn't make much sense. One life to live, one love to give on your side of the fence. When you compare your life to a highlight reel, it doesn't make much sense. One life to live, one love to give on your side of the fence.
Well, that brings us just about to the end of our Zoom session here. I just got the notification that it's going to be ending soon. But luckily, we got through the whole album. And we're going to post links on our website, your websites. But I can tell you right now that there's stevecafmusic.com. And on Instagram, you've got Steve_C_music. And, of course, you're on Facebook. You're all over the place. And I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. It's a great album. I love it. It's in heavy rotation in the car. It actually, so is your last album, quite honestly. And I love your stuff. I'm your biggest fan. And I really, really appreciate you making the time to speak with us. And I'm looking forward to our next gig. And I'm looking forward to your next album, whether it's one of your own or with Already Taken. Whatever it's going to be, I know I'm going to love it.
Thank you. I appreciate all those kind words, and I really appreciate being on here. I think one of the great things about a true music and artist community of any sort is that, everybody should feel comfortable bringing what they do to the table, doing best to the table, and obviously you're a great musician yourself and all that, and a great teacher, but you also have this whole outlet of doing the radio and the interviews and the podcast, which is something, I don't do a lot of, so I'm always thrilled to be taking part in that, and I love your stuff as well.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot to me, and thank you once again, and looking forward to the next time you're back on. Take care of yourself, man.
Awesome. You do the same.
Thank you, brother.
Mind, there's nothing left at our wall. Stuck in a hole. When you're locked and tied, you're like a fish inside a bowl. Losing control, nowhere to go, y'all stuck in watching YouTube old videos. The studio hasn't been cleaned up in days. Kick the wheels off my feet, need some medicine to stop this bleed. Let the babies have their bottles cool. Shake it off if I please, darling. It's good for you, it's good for me. Help me out before I grow too old. Jitty, turn it upside down. Faded memories can't be found. Tasted it and now you're down, but you are now. Turn around if you please, jaded heart and mind left out to freeze. Do they serve the short end of the stick? I'm gonna go in that rock and just go out real quietly. The reading's cold, but it's just a parlor trick. Jaded, turn it upside down. Faded memories can't be found. Tasted it and now you're down, but you are now. Jaded, turn it upside down. Faded memories can't be found. Tasted it and now you're down, but you are now. Jaded, turn it upside down. Faded memories can't be found. Tasted it and now you're down, but you are now. No, you are out. No, you aren't out. No, you aren't out. The long wait keeps on winding through the next phase. And when you're dreaming of the old days, just keep riding on the long way. The long way. Don't you know it'll never be the same? But if tomorrow's gonna come, you better run and get your gun and find your own way. Alright. just a stop along the long way. The long way. Many times feel like the wrong way. But if you squared up like a peg, just clear your head